What's up, guys? Ninth Jim here, bringing another Pokemon VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield content. Today we're going to be talking about Vileplume, the amazingly fast Pokemon with Chlorophyll. The ability Chlorophyll gives you double speed when it's sunny out, so when it's in drought. So it's a no-brainer to pair it with a Pokemon like Torkoal, potentially even pairing it with something like Ninetales. Getting that sun up makes this guy super fast, super strong actually. Amazing special attack stat at 110 here, really fast or really strong. Its base speed is 50, so you wouldn't think this guy's fast, but with max invested it goes up to 112, and then doubling the speed goes to 224, making this guy an actually amazingly fast Pokemon, having access to a couple of really good moves that make its fast speed really good. So not to mention it's actually pretty bulky at 75 HP. It's not insanely bulky, but 85 defense and 90 special defense. Also not insanely bulky, but very good bulk actually for how fast and strong it is. You see Pokemon all over the place that are like really strong, but have like very poor bulk stats. But this is actually not bad, so it can live a couple of attacks potentially by non super effective attacks. And being poison, grass, poison, it's actually not that bad of a typing defensively as well. And is really good offensively as well. Being able to have access to Solar Beam and Sludge Bomb, really good stab moves. Poison just destroying every fairy in your way. Grass destroying every water and other Pokemon out of the way. Why can't I think of what else Grass is getting? Rock, ground. Very good, especially against things like the Gastrodon. Gastrodon is like really apparent in the meta right now, being able to stop Dracovish. So you have a really good grass Pokemon here that can just take that out mid to late game. So if you see that they have Gastrodon and they think of Gastrodon as their win con against your team, you have Solar Beam to come in and just destroy it. And even if the sun isn't up, this Pokemon's Solar Beam, like taking 2 turns, it'll still kill the Gastrodon, although then they can protect, so like that's not actually a good way of doing it. But when you have sun up, the Solar Beam doesn't take any turns to charge, so you just hit 120 especially, and it's very strong. So anyway, we're going to talk about this build for a second here. The item of choice today is going to be Focus Sash. You can use other items here, like you can use something like Choice Specs or something if you were going all in attack, but that's not the build we're playing. We're playing the After You Sleep Powder variant, where we're not even going to be attacking every time. We're usually going to be After Youing first or Sleep Powdering first and then doing the opposing attack after. And Sleep Powder is just really pesky and annoying, so like having Sleep Powder a couple of times is really powerful. So a couple of things to keep in mind though is this is really weather dependent Pokemon. Without weather, this Pokemon is really slow. It goes down to 112 here, since we're doing max speed and a nature that benefits our speed. So we go down to 112, which is pretty slow. It's not insanely slow, like it'll still outspeed a lot of like random Pokemon, but without it, our speed's pretty low, and we're gonna be like in that mid tier of Pokemon. So Trick Room is actually not bad. So that's why we have all these Trick Room guys up here. Anyway, Torkoal is also Eruption. So Drought. So you start off with Torkoal, and it sets the sun for you, and then Vileplume is super fast, and then you get to Sleep Powder or After You really fast. If you don't know what After You does, you target a guy, and then it goes first, like right after this guy. So since it goes up to 224, it's going to outspeed almost everything in the meta. You After You your own Torkoal. Torkoal then uses Eruption before it can lose HP. If you don't know what Eruption does, it's 150 base power, and then it does less damage for the less HP that this guy has. So when it starts to take hits, this attack does nothing, or does very little. Anyway, you get to After You, and then go in with an Eruption before it takes damage, and it's really powerful. So Vileplume is really good for that. It lets you After You priority your Torkoal, and then it also Sleep Powders really fast, which is really good. So a lot of the times you'll put Protect on this guy as well. That's why usually we have Charcoal on this guy instead of Choice Specs. If you don't expect to have to Protect and sleep anything, then Choice Specs is obviously stronger and makes your Eruption insane. This gives you 1.5 times when Charcoal only gives you 1.2 times. You could also run potentially Life Orb to give it 1.3 times, but then you take a little bit of damage, and then next turn, if this guy doesn't take damage, Eruption will lose some of its attack. So Charcoal is most likely what we're going to be running on that set on our partner. If you haven't seen that, I made a video about Torkoal also, if you want to go check that out after this to make your Vileplume Torkoal team really strong. Anyway, after you Sleep Powder, we also have Solar Beam and Sludge Bomb for coverage. That's really good. We have max special attack here as well as max speed, so making our special attack 162, which is actually really good. So Solar Beam and Sludge Bomb actually do a lot of damage. You make your after you on Torkoal. Sleep Powder is really good. Chlorophyll is the ability of choice, obviously, as we were saying. It doubles your speed in the sun. That is the whole point of this team. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind when you play this is also very weather dependent. So if your opponent has something like a Tyranitar on their team, or a Pelipper, or something along those lines, Torkoal is then threatened. Torkoal and Vileplume is then threatened because of how the speed mechanic has changed over from other games into this game. It has changed when it changes. So if sun is up and then your opponent switches out into like a Pelipper or something, changes the weather to rain, or they bring in Tyranitar and change it to sand, that goes away, and then instantly this speed stat is no longer doubled. So mid-turn, this actually just goes right back down to 112. So if your opponent has two Pokemon out, right, they switch one of them out for any weather setter, your speed then goes from 224 down to 112, and then their opposing Pokemon can do big damage on the Vileplume or take out Torkoal or something. So keep that in mind. When your opponent has weather, this isn't always what you want to do. So that's why we have it complemented with Trick Room. We have it complemented with Trick Room Trick Room sweepers, so that we can set up Trick Room against other teams and then bring Torkoal in as a Trick Room sweeper later in the game. So that's going to be the option. You want to start this if there's no weather, and then if there is weather, then you want to not even use Vileplume usually. But you can also bring it in as a sweeper. Like I said, it is 112, which is mid tier. So if it's like really good, if you see something like a Gastrodon on your opponent's team or something, you can bring this guy in and then do good damage against that. If that's what it has to be, 112 is a mid speed range, so it's still gonna, under Trick Room, it's still gonna outspeed a lot of stuff, like anything fast that your opponent may have. So that's another really interesting thing about it. Anyway, we paired it with stuff like Hatterene and Didi, something like Dusclops. Trick Room Setters is the name of the game here. Well, also something like Bronzong, potentially holding like something like Keyberry or any kind of berry, just making sure this guy gets to live, and then you Trick Room. So that's really interesting. I can never type on here, I don't know why. Then you have guys like Rhyperior, something like Conkeldurr, something like Gastrodon, just other good Pokemon that are good under Trick Room and can be fine without it. And then you're going to want that to be like most of your team, and then like one fast guy. So if you go with the Hatterene and Didi, then this would be like something like Rhyperior. And then your last Pokemon could be something that's like a mid tier or fast, so something like an Arcanine, something like a Scrafty, something like a Rotom, Excadrill with Mold Breaker. Really any of that stuff is fine. Frost, why did I pick Frost? That's a not good one. Heat, Mow, or Wash are the best Rotoms right now, and so on like that. So that could be like a good example team, or you could pick something like Bronzong here, and then go with like the same other two Pokemon, and then another Pokemon that's fine under Trick Room. So something like a Gastrodon, something like a Conkeldurr, whatever your team wants. So these are just a couple of samples here that you could pick. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the video. To sum up, Vileplume, and in one sentence, is it's a fast Pokemon under Sun that can be really powerful with special, has good coverage, has an amazing move pool for being fast. So you have After You and Sleep Powder, After You Eruption and Sleep Powdering things while you protect, is very strong. So yeah, this Pokemon is really cool. It's a really interesting combo, is Vileplume, Torkoal being able to set Sun and then be really fast. So yeah, if you want to try it, test it out. It's really fun. It's seeing some play on the ladder. It's climbing the ladder, so that's awesome. So yeah, if you like this kind of content, go ahead and like and subscribe, and don't forget to go down into the comment section and comment any Pokemon you want to see in future videos. This was also a user submission, or a watcher submission, viewer submission. That's the correct one. Viewer submission. So I like to do viewer submissions. So if you want to see anything in particular, go down into the comment section and say what you want to see. Anyway, that's going to be it for the video today. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.